Alright, this is the how-to video on how to make one of these. This is the T4QB, the Tallguy-Tweaked-TTQB. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make it with the TTQB's handle on the back. I've got two examples here. One is with a thicker piece of Lexan. Lexan is called polycarbonate. They use this for windshields of motorcycles and airplanes and all that. It's actually crystal clear. Here's a little strip that I clipped out before. What they do is they sell it with this coating on both sides. This is 1/32 of an inch. You can get this on Amazon. This is a 12-inch by 24-inch sheet that I've been cutting away from. This was $7 with Prime shipping, so not too expensive. This is a piece of 1/16, and this one I just peeled off the outside. I'm not sure what prompted me to do that. So this is one where I made just a little strip like this, and I put it on there, and it works just fine. The new design, by the way, from the first video, when I glue these guys on, I like actually this design here, where I glue it just here. I put a little drop of glue here by the armpit, and then a little bit on the hip, and I leave the leg free. And I find this gives a very flexible pullback. The problem with a pullback is if you have a thicker one, here's one of my earlier designs. Obviously it's not quite the same. This is when I was still cutting the quarterbacks up this way. This is 3/32 of an inch. This is the piece I got from Home Depot. This guy's really stiff, so when you pull him back, what happens is the stiffer it is on the pullback, the more it fights with the base, because you really want to stabilize it, right? This hand is just stabilizing it, and if it's a harder pullback, the base tends to move and it's much harder to hold. So I've given up on a 3/32. I've gone to the 1/16 and half the thickness 1/32. I think this is the one I like best. It has an extra step, whereas a 1/16 is just a simple piece like this. It's really not bad. This one, what I'd start is a 1/32 piece. It goes down, it goes across the platform, and then it curls back on itself. It comes back and it goes up to here. And the reason I do that is I want to reinforce the heel, because this is a thicker piece. This isn't going to break, and actually you can see this is not even flexing that much down there. But a 1/32 would really bend too much. Also, I see this guy's not glued at the hip. He's only glued at the heel and the armpit. This is an earlier design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one that's glued here and leaving the foot free, and using the 1/32 where it's going to go down, around, and back up to here. And I'm going to show you how to use a rivet gun. Yeah, I scored some real serious coin with this. I bought this on Amazon when it was $11 and change. Now it's $13 and change. So call me Mr. Investor. So first step, back when I was young and foolish last week, I used to take this, clamp it on this guy, and get my knife, and I would score it, and I would snap it. The problem is when you're pulling this knife and you're holding it like that, I'm just afraid I'm going to cut through my finger. Much better way to do this is to get a pair of sheet metal snips. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut a piece, and what you want to do is you want to cut one a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. It's not rocket surgery here, so you don't have to go that precise. I'm just eyeballing a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch, and these things just work beautifully, and they cut about 2-3 inches at a pop. So I'm just going to go like that, and then once you got the cut going, it just slides right up. So basically it just slides right in here, and it goes up against this edge, and it just keeps cutting reasonably straight. I see I'm getting a little bit thicker there, so I'll just aim a little bit this way. Anyway, so you can go all the way across, and I find if you get a piece that's about 70 millimeters, and I'm going to cut a little bit more than I need. So now I've got a little strip like this, and I peel off the... It's flexible, right? It's like this. Let me prepare the quarterback. I'm going to snip off the kicking tee. I'm going to snip off this puppy. And I'm going to snip off the guy right, and again, using these Xuron shears, these are really wonderful. Snip it right off at the base. You see there? Now I've got this base, and I want to just sand it. I'm going to put it right on the edge. Get this imperfections down to flat. So there, just sanded that, and just for completeness sake, 150 grit. Sand a little bit of the bottom because there's always a little goop on there, and this is going to sit right on a base. So sand that down. Beautiful. Here's a piece of Lexan that I have, and this is 9 millimeters. As far as length goes, I think if you have 70 you're plenty. I've got 80 here, so I've got more than I need. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right into here on these pliers. This is about 30 millimeters in. And I'm going to just bend this as straight as I can. I'm going to fold it right back. This is the beauty of the polycarbonate. You can actually bend it all the way on itself. Here's the platform I just made. I just want to go about here and say, okay, right till about there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend it. See where the short end is? This is the long end, this is the short end. I'm going to bend it so that the short end is behind. And the reason for that is because, remember, the short end, when it comes, long end, goes back and forth platform, and then it comes up on the short end here. So the short end is there, go like that. There's probably a better way to bend this to make a beautiful right angle, but anyway, this is good enough. So, and you'll notice that the quarterback that I severed over here, it's way too big, and that's fine. We're going to trim that down. This stuff is so cheap, you could throw a little bit away just to make sure you get it right. So now the trick is, I want to clamp this, and I want to do the first rivet, or first drill right here. Pressing it in, and this is a 1/8 drill bit. And the reason it's 1/8 is because we're going to put in a 1/8 rivet. I bought this assortment, and if you look at the website, I'm going to have all the tools on here, including this fancy rivet gun, and these very inexpensive rivets. But this comes with 5 different kinds of rivets, and they do 1/8 by 1/4. And the way 1/8 is the diameter of this rivet here, and 1/4 is the length. And they also have rivets that are a little bit longer, which we'll use also, like the 3/8. Same thickness, same diameter, but you see this guy's 1/4 inch and this guy's 3/8 of an inch, so you see how it's much taller. That's the reason for the 1/8 inch drill bit. Okay, I'm going to press reasonably hard there, and I'm going to press down pretty hard with my drill also, because what happens is when you drill, it puts a rotation, the rotational torque tries to set it off center. So I'm going to press hard and go, and there you go, that's good. And then, oh, this is pretty smooth. Sometimes when you drill through, you have to, you have to scrape off with a razor blade anything that kind of hangs out. But this one did reasonably well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the shortest rivet, the 1/8 by 1/4, and I'm going to put the rivet in this way, and I'm just going to put it in here, and it pulls it. And what it does is just pulls the nail. Sometimes I do 2 of them like that. So what it does is it just pulls in. Let me show you one of these. So basically this is just like a nail, and it's connected to this thing, but there's a ding in it. So when it gets enough pull, this little ball at the end stays, but the rest of the nail comes out. So voila. So what happens is the flat side that went in is very flat. I mean, it doesn't stick out that much, and this other side over here gives you this ugly ball here. Probably would make sense to go stick this on an anvil somewhere and just smack it down so it flattens this side too. Next step is to make sure that when this guy's attached to a base, I want to put 2 rivets there. And this one might be a little long, it's okay. I'm going to put 2 rivets there, and you don't want to put them right next to each other. So I'm going to drill the first hole near the bend. And again, actually, you know what I want to do is I want to hold this with a pair of pliers because it will want to spin. Okay, I'm holding this reasonably hard. Put the drill right there, and Okay, and interesting. I don't have a lot of crud to cut off. And then I take the other one, and I'm going to try to move it a little bit farther away. Again, I'm using a block of wood so I don't ruin my wife's furniture. That's what helped me to stay married 30 years so far. So, usually what happens, I mean, for some reason for this demo it was nice, but usually I have to take this and scrape off some of the crud. Now I'm going to align it. And this one's kind of hairy. That's okay. And I'm going to just drill one of the holes. I'm going to just arbitrarily pick one of the holes and just drill right through. There you go. And this is a little bit rough, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to take the razor blade and kind of get the excess off of there. Again, always using the 1/8 inch drill bit. I'm using a purple convention base because, of course, every good quarterback wants to be a Viking. And I'm just going to, by doing the one that's farther back of the two, I could actually put it on the base. I'm going to lose the front here. I'm just going to line it up right here. Actually, I don't need the... I'm just going to line this up here, and I'm just going to drill through the base. And the base, you also want to remove the front prongs. And you'll see why in a second. I'm going to have to put a washer there because when I pull a rivet through, the way we did with the Lexan, if I try to do that, like if I push in the rivet this way and I pull the rivet, it's going to mangle this base pretty badly. So we're going to use a washer to keep it from deforming the base. I've got a little washer here. I'm going to use that. I'm going to take a 3/8 inch rivet. This is a 1/8 by 3/8 rivet. I'm going to carefully shove it through here. Shove it through these two things. Try to align it reasonably straight. And on the bottom, if I don't reinforce this, it's going to pull right through the base. So I'm going to put this washer there. Just going to press it in. Okay. Now the trick is, that's where I wish I had another hand. I'm going to put this in here and pull it. So you can see how it's going to deform. I'm going to show you this way. Let's see if I can straighten this a little bit. And now I'm going to do the front one. Clean up the hole down here. I'll take another one of these 1/8 by 3/8 inch rivets, the long ones. Push it down through here again. This one. And the other washer is going to sit, and this is what happens. Sometimes there's not enough room for it, so I'm going to take my snips and just snip a little bit of the washer. But I'm not going to have enough room if I don't do this, so. Oh, these things are beautiful. So I've got this. I'm going to put it right on here. And again, it's just something for the rivet to seat against. I'm going to take the rivet gun, the rivet popper, and pull. Okay, and there you go. So I got the base. It's reasonably straight. Yeah, not that great straight, but again, I expect somebody to pick this idea up and figure out a way to do this straight. Now, ideally they post a video and they show me why I'm such an imbecile and I can't do any of these straight, but good enough. I'll bend that back a little bit. So, you saw how I took the quarterback off. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to put him, eyeball him, how tall he is. I'm going to cut a little bit higher than his arm. Go right about there. And the reason I want to do it a little higher than his arm, I'll show you that in a second. Let's see, that's good. Reasonably straight. It doesn't even have to be straight. So now he sits up a little too high. I'm going to take a Dremel. I'm just going to make a little cut, like a semicircle out there. And what that's going to do is armpit's going to go straight there. As much as his ankle is off of the platform, that's how much I want to drill down here. So it looks like 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to Dremel this down 1/8 of an inch. The Dremel bit that I'm using, I think almost any Dremel bit will work, because all I'm going to do is take it and do this. That's pretty much what they all look like. Put up against the background of this here, you can see the little U-shaped thingy. And now we've got this quarterback that sits like this. In this part of the experiment, we're going to use Crazy Glue. This is the Bob Smith Industries Instacure. This will be all these tools are going to be on the website and all these things. This is the stuff. Instaset. If you're going to use Crazy Glue, this is the stuff you want to use. So let's see. Let me just eyeball. Okay. Need a blob of glue right here. And I'll put a blob of glue up on where the armpit's going to be. So that's that. I'm going to take my figure here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to squirt it. This is a spray. I'm going to try to squirt right here. I want to hit this and the armpit. So beautiful. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Couldn't be better. I'm going to carefully drop him this and this. And the trick here now is you only have a few seconds to set this, and I'm looking to make sure that I'm square. In other words, he's perpendicular to the piece of Lexan. Now I'm not going to pull on him yet. He's reasonably straight. If somebody were to take this design and who actually knows how to build things, they could probably do it perfectly straight. So this would be perfectly aligned and not off center like I did. But that's okay, because you know what? All this stuff doesn't matter, because when it comes down to the next step, when this dries and we're starting to tweak it and we're shooting with it, what we're going to do is we're going to aim this arm. We're going to squish it and bend it in the proper direction. Let's let this dry. Even though it cures pretty quickly, it doesn't get really strong until a couple hours go by. I'm going to take a football, plop it in to his arm, and I'm just going to see. I'm just going to line it up, football to arm, along the guy, right along the hash marks. I like to do this when I'm testing. And it's going to go, boom. Okay. A little bit to the left, that's okay. Nope, off left. So a little bit of testing here. Shooting a little bit to the left, okay? You want to do a couple throws because you want to make sure that you didn't influence it with a bad throw. So I'm going to do is I'm going to take the guy's arm and just bend it a little bit to the left. And I flatten this out a little bit. Nice to have a little aiming piece that's thinner. So now let me try that, see if that was enough. That was pretty good. Hit him on the right ankle. Try this again. Bottom of the base. That's pretty darn good. Right hip. I think this guy's okay as is. There you go. Perfect. One adjustment and he's done. What I would like to do is I'd like to try this guy tomorrow, because I think the arm may bend a little bit. If it cures, if the glue cures and maybe moves him a little bit, I'm not sure. But at this point, this guy's pretty darn accurate. Let me move him up to 50. I'll try it from the 5 to 45 yard pass here. Let's try what this looks like. Yep, right heel. There you go, folks. That's how you make one of these guys.